Hello, everybody. In today's episode, I'd like to talk to you about COVID 19, better known as the Chinese virus, the coronavirus, Kung flu, or the Wuhan virus or Wuhan flu. Now, a lot of people are referring to it strictly as COVID 19 because if they happen to say any of the other names on social media, either that post gets deleted, gets flagged, and in some cases, some people were actually kicked off or put like in Facebook jail or Twitter jail just because they miscategorized COVID 19. Now, there's a lot of information going on out there about this virus. A lot of it is fake, it's lies, it's made up crap, it's misinformation. But there is a lot of actual truth out there, some real actual facts. But you do have to sometimes do a little bit of digging on it to find the actual facts compared to what I would refer to as the propaganda or the misinformation and the lies about COVID 19. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the complete facts and get into it deeply because that's not what this episode is about. But there are some facts I'd like to mainly put out there. Number one, so far as we know, this virus has started in Wuhan, China. I don't know if it was from a bat or whatever else, but it does have the markings of a man-made virus. If you, like I said, if you dig into it, you can find all this information and you make the judgment on what is right and what is wrong. But the truth is out there, and like I said, you do have to dig to find it. That's the unfortunate part. Now, some of the other facts that are out there that people tend to, well, first off, try to cover it up is China lied. They knew about this virus and they kind of kept it quiet. Even the World Health Organization, or the WHO, they even lied about it. On January 14th of 2020, the WHO, or the World Health Organization, tweeted out preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human to human transmission of the novel coronavirus. Now, of course, if you look at the tweet, they say conducted by the Chinese authorities. But yet, why did the WHO not investigate? Why didn't they send people down to China to try to verify these alleged facts? Because, well, they're in league with the Chinese government. But that's a whole nother story, so we won't get into that. Now, this virus spread awfully quick from China all the way to around the whole world. There isn't a country that is not affected by the COVID 19. And it kind of makes you wonder how in the world did this happen? Now, some people may argue, well, it happened because, people were traveling back and forth. And since so many goods are made in China, being shipped all over the world, and since this virus can live on materials, even plastics and metals and cardboard for great lengths of time, that's how it spread throughout the whole world. But that's just a little too convenient for me to truly believe. I honestly believe that this was an engineered virus and purposely implemented for nefarious reasons. Pretty much once the world pretty much got infected with the COVID 19, almost every single country, state, and city went into a lockdown. You are only allowed to go outside to get your basic essentials from the stores or any essential services that you may need, like, I don't know, maybe get your car fixed or whatnot. And only certain places of business can remain open. A lot of places were closed, and a lot only things like grocery stores, maybe some party stores that sold, food items or your basic toiletries were left to be open and deemed essential, while all these other places were deemed unessential. Which, if you really take everything into context, yes, I can understand. You really don't need to go out to a tailor and get a suit. And since this virus is highly contagious, I can understand why bars were closed, and even like barbershops and hair salons and nail salons. I can kind of and somewhat understand why those kind of places would be closed up, because a lot of those places too, you're coming in direct contact with other people, and those people, even though they may not show any symptoms and may never show any symptoms, they can still spread the virus as a carrier. So I kind of understand that. And it does make sense with a disease or a virus that's highly contagious. You don't want it to spread. You want to try to minimize that and minimize any serious health problems and or deaths by trying to contain it and let it run its course. But there is an argument against this whole lockdown and containment strategy. For the most important argument is, in which I do agree with to a degree, is we will not have that herd immunity development from this virus. What the herd immunity really is, or to kind of give you a very general and very light version of it, is basically a lot of people get exposed. Yes, a lot of people get sick, and unfortunately people will die. But the more people that actually get the virus and recover from it, your body will technically develop an immunity to it or antibodies to help fight off this virus in case you happen to get it or get it again. Basically, that's the very stripped down version, the most simplistic version of herd immunity that I can give you. Now, when you quarantine a whole populace and only let them out at a certain time and, say, hey, you really got to watch where you go, watch what you buy and whatever, you really do not get that kind of herd immunity going. So if the COVID-19 comes back again this year, this winter, it could have a possibility of being worse than this initial exposure to the populace. And quite possibly, it could even, by that time, the next flu season that comes around, it can actually mutate into something a little bit more different. And it could be basically a brand new disease, and we will be going through this all over again. And that, finally, dear listener, is the point of this episode. What we should all be thinking about, be scared about, and be worried about right now about COVID-19 is not the virus itself. We should be worried about and scared about how fast our governments were able to keep us indoors and take control over our lives. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand the whole idea of the containment strategy. I do acknowledge that the COVID-19 virus is highly contagious and is very dangerous in itself. But look at everything that has happened since the outbreaks started happening. Here in America, there was a lot of panic buying, anything from toilet paper, which I never understood why. But I do understand things like disinfectant sprays, like Lysol, things of that nature, and hand sanitizers and the face masks, those surgical masks and the N whatever filtered masks. People were going crazy over these things and buying them up like they were going extinct. And yet, at the same time, the media did not even attempt to try to calm the people down. Something like, hey, you don't need to go out and get, you know, 10,000 rolls of toilet paper. No, instead, they just kept harping on how horrible this thing is and how contagious it is. And they kept basically fear mongering almost every single day. It was like they had to keep trying to one up the previous day on spreading fear about a virus that, well, let's just face it, we really don't know that much, and even today we really don't know that much about. And by we, I mean us, the general public. I bet scientists and doctors, they probably know a heck of a lot more about this virus than what we are being told. And I wouldn't put it past the media to hold back a lot of that information anyway. Even if the media knew about it, they probably will not tell us everything right now anyway. But seeing how fast the government was able to, not just our government here in the States, but around the world, seeing how fast they were able to lock down their citizenry makes me kind of believe that the COVID 19 is an excuse for tyranny. It's an experiment, basically, right now, to see how far the governments, whether it be local or federal, can push its populace, to see where that line is where we're going to say, look, no, we've had enough, go away, we don't want this anymore, we want to get our lives back to normal, you can't, or even like, you can't do this, it's not right, it's unconstitutional, or it's against the law for you to do this to us, the people who voted for you to put you in an office. So that's kind of like what I think it is. I think it's really kind of an experiment to see just how far certain people can push the populace to its breaking point. Now I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like nothing but a conspiracy theory, but seriously, do your research and look at everything. Here in Michigan, for example, you cannot go and buy garden seeds. I don't mean like flowers. I mean like vegetables, cucumbers, carrots, and tomatoes. Our wonderful governor said you can't go out and buy those right now. It's non essential. Now, wait a minute. How is having your own food, growing your own food, non essential when you're telling me to stay at home and not go out except when I need the essentials, like toiletries and food? But yet you're going to deny me the right to go out and buy seeds so I can grow some food in my backyard? Now, does that seem right to you? Also, at the same time, they're telling us stay at home and this is what you need to do to wash down your surfaces, basically to disinfect your house. But yet, a lot of these products aren't even available anymore in the stores, like a disinfectant spray like Lysol. I've been trying to find it ever since this lockdown happened, and the only places I'm unfortunately able to find it right now is on places like eBay, but people are ripping people off. They're charging like 50 to $100 for one can of disinfectant spray, and that's kind of crazy. But how come something as simple as Lysol spray is not available right now in the stores? or those sanitizing wipes that you can get? How come these things aren't available in the stores either? And please don't give me that excuse. Well, it's for the first responders. They come first, the medical staffs or the people in the grocery store. They deserve to have this first. But come on now, that's not an excuse. These big corporations can be ramping up production left and right and make a lot of this product, especially things like hand sanitizer. Here in Michigan, there was a local distillery that made vodka. If they can turn their plant around to make hand sanitizer for the first responders, then how come these big corporations can't be ramping up their production of hand sanitizer for the rest of us? Does that make sense to you at all? This is also a perfect test run to see how much control a government can have over its own people. In England, there was a man who was, I believe, either arrested or fined heavily for kissing his wife in public. There was a man on the beach in England jogging, trying to get his exercise in, and there was a cop trying to either cite him, give him a ticket, or put him under arrest for jogging, trying to get his exercise. And there's other examples of this all over the world, and it's just not in England, it's just not in the United States where this kind of stuff is happening, where everyday people are trying to go outside, especially if it's a nice day and very sunny. You go outside, sit in the sun, and your body can produce vitamin D, which does help, from my understanding, of protecting yourself from the COVID virus. But there's people who, just standing outside, maybe like on a corner, you're just enjoying the day, and they're being told, hey, you need to move along or get back home because then you'll be in violation of the stay at home thing and you're going to be fined up to $1,000 or possible imprisonment just for going outside and enjoying the day and getting out of your house, just so you can get out of the house from, to stop from going stir crazy, getting cabin fever. That's kind of crazy now if you think about it. There are some states, or cities, I should say, I'm sorry, maybe even states, I can't remember right now, but they are encouraging their citizens to snitch on other citizens, basically to turn on themselves, to turn on their fellow man and say, hey, these people are breaking the stay at home or the social distancing program. Here's where they are. Take a picture or take a video and send it to your local police department. That's not America. That's just crazy. Why would even a local government want you to turn in your fellow citizens for something as simple as, hey, I'm standing out or sitting on my front porch, or I'm talking to my neighbor, and boom, here it is, social distancing thing. Let me take a video and or a picture, send it to police department and report them for breaking the social distancing protocol. That's not normal. That's just not right at all. I'm sorry, but I don't care if it's the president or if it's a mayor, any elected official that is encouraging fellow Americans to turn each other in for simply talking to a neighbor or just standing outside. That's a form of tyranny right there. That's just not right. That elected official should be booted from office immediately.
New Yorkers, you have been extraordinary at social distancing. And let me tell you, it has taken every fiber of our beings to figure out how to do this because we're warm, emotional people. We're used to being close to each other. We're used to being packed into subway cars, and we've had to do the exact opposite and figure out how to keep distance. It's not natural for us. It's not normal for us, but you've done it. You've done an amazing job. Now, look, Thank you, everyone who's done it the right way, but we still know there's some people who need to get the message. And that means sometimes making sure the enforcement is there to educate people and make clear we got to have social distancing. So now it is easier than ever. When you see a crowd, when you see a line that's not distanced, when you see a supermarket that's too crowded, anything, you can report it right away so we can get help there to fix the problem. And now it's as simple as taking a photo. All you got to do is take the photo and put the location with it, and bang, send a photo like this, and we will make sure that enforcement comes right away. Text the photo to 311-692, and action will ensue. Enforcement will come to get the help we need, or you can use the 311 app, send that photo there, and you'll make sure immediately there's follow-up. Look, this is important. I want to keep reminding people, it's about saving lives. Sending that photo in is going to help make sure that people are kept apart, and that's going to stop the disease from spreading, and that's going to save lives.
There are some states, too, that are using the COVID-19 and the stay-at-home order, or whatever you want to call it, to pass gun control laws, because they know that these people aren't coming out or going to come out to protest against it or go to the capitals or whatever and say, hey, no, we don't want this. They are trying to pass gun control laws to take your Second Amendment rights away here in America. They're being rather sneaky about it. They're going basically behind the citizens' back, which is not how they are supposed to operate. They just remember, people, any elected official has been or is supposed to work for us, the populace. We hired them to do a job. They are supposed to have our best interests in mind. Not, oh, well, look, since everyone's going to stay at home, I'm going to pass these laws to regulate guns, who can have them, who can't have them, or just flat out ban them where you can't have them. No, you're taking my rights away. You can't do that. We have a right. You are supposed to come to us and basically let us decide on it. When one man or woman makes a decision, or a group behind closed doors without letting the people know that this law is going to go into effect until after the fact. It's like, hey, people, look, we passed this law. No, you are supposed to let us know before this law or bill, whatever you want to call it, goes into effect or becomes law. You are supposed to inform the people about this. You don't just leave them out and pass it and then inform them. You have to inform the people before it gets signed into law. That's the way any government, well, at least here in the States, that's how it's supposed to work. You make the bill, you make the people, you let it be known to the people what's going on, and then the people can say yay or nay on it. That's how it's supposed to work. And you can tell that they are trying to use fear to control us right now so they can mandate everything that they want. There's been people going online and saying, look, I went to the hospital, told the doctor that I had maybe a fever, couldn't taste or smell something, and boom, I was immediately diagnosed as having COVID-19 when they actually were not tested.
It take days. They tell us here it take 24 hours. You feel what I'm saying? They didn't swab me or test me or nothing to look what the fuck papers say. Reason for visit, fever. Diagnosis, COVID-19. They didn't test me for this shit. He told me I had it, bro. He didn't test me for it. He told me I fucking had it, bro. He told me I fucking had it, bro. Come on now. Look at what my temperature was. I ain't even had no temperature when I went in that bitch. Come on now. But because I told him I can't taste and smell, he know I got it. Oh, well, that's the number one symptom that's been going around lately is not the smell or taste. So I'm not going to say, we're just going to say you have it and quarantine you for 2 weeks. That's exactly what he said, bro. We're just going to say you have it. We're just going to tell you have it. So they diagnosed me with
How can you, I mean, I'm sorry, just taking somebody's word, hey, this is, just verbally diagnosing, no, you can't do that. Not as a medical doctor. There's just no way in hell you can do that and say, yes, definitively, you have COVID 19 without taking an actual test, especially about a virus that is this, well, basically destructive. How can a doctor in any good conscience, just through verbal vocalization, diagnose somebody for sure that you have the COVID 19? That is definitely wrong. And if you ask me, all of those doctors that diagnosed people just from a patient verbally saying, these are my symptoms, and then the doctor says, okay, you have it, they should be losing their license and never be allowed to practice medicine again. And also, that goes for all the deaths right now that are being attributed to the coronavirus. Right now, to be honest with you, there's no accurate 100% sure count of all these deaths saying, yes, this death was absolutely 100% caused by the COVID 19 virus. There have been people who died who, even though after they died, they were tested and found to have the COVID 19. So they're saying, okay, that's it. You died of COVID 19. So basically, you could have died of a heart attack or, say, a brain aneurysm. But if you were tested after you died for the COVID virus and you tested positive, they will attribute that death to the COVID virus, even though there is no proof saying you had that heart attack or you had that brain aneurysm because of the COVID virus. Nope. It's just because that virus was detected after you died, then that means it's a COVID death. And that is another way on how they are trying to use fear to manipulate and control us as a people. Because the higher the death rate or higher the death count that they can say is attributed to the COVID 19 virus, then you're going to have people out there going, oh my God, look at all these people that died from it. Oh, we have to listen to the government and the doctors and the news media and do what they tell us to do so I don't die and become a statistic. That's basically what they are trying to do. Because once you start getting people basically scared to death, they're going to start not thinking rationally anymore. They're not going to question everything because here's all this information. You don't want to give them a breath. You don't want to give them a minute of saying, okay, relax, take a moment, and then we'll get back to it. No, you don't want that. You want to keep everybody scared. That keeps them off balance. Why? Because then they start taking away your civil liberties or just all of your rights. Like I said, there's some states that are looking into passing very strict gun control laws because they know the people are not going to break the stay-at-home quarantine, so they're going to try to pass it, which is crazy. The other thing they're trying to do, I mean, look at social media like on Facebook and Twitter and some other places where if you mention COVID 19 by saying Chinese virus, Wuhan flu, Wuhan virus, or Kung flu, blah, 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 you can actually, some people have actually been kicked off of social media. So they're trying to take away your freedom of speech. Yes, I know, don't say, Facebook and Twitter and places like that are a private company and they can do what they want. But seriously, me calling something the Chinese virus instead of COVID 19 is not detrimental to anybody. It's not racist at all either, because I hate to tell all you people out there, the C in COVID stands for the country of origin. And guess where that was? China. Ebola was named after a river, if I'm not mistaken, in Africa. That's how these viruses get their names, from where it originated from. So calling it the Chinese virus is not detrimental and it's not racist. So don't give me that crap either. And another way that they're going to try to take away some of your liberties, civil liberties or civil rights, whatever you want to call it, not civil rights, but you know what I mean, is there's talk going around where you will have to have a vaccination card with you at all times, whether even if you just want to go grocery shopping or going and getting gas, you're going to have to provide your vaccination card saying, yes, hey, here's the newest disease that's out or virus out. I've been vaccinated. And then they check it and then they let you do your business. If you don't have that card, guess what? You can't get your gas. You can't get your groceries. You can't go to the hospital. There's also talk about having a little chip implanted in everybody. So instead of having an actual card on you, it's all on the chip that's been implanted in your hand.
Can you imagine a time where Americans carry certificates of immunity?
You know, that's possible. I mean, it's one of those things that we talk about when we want to make sure that we know who the vulnerable people are and not. This is something that's being discussed. I think it might actually have some merit.
For crying out loud, Google even said that, I can't remember if they said they have it or they're going to implement it, an app that's on your mobile device that will track wherever you go. I mean, they do that anyway with the GPS, but this is basically kind of like a COVID tracking app. So they know where every single person is going, and then they want to share that information with the government, you know, in times like this where we're in quarantine, so they can say, oh, well, you know, we're just tracking where possibly the virus is going. And to me, to be honest, that sounds a little bit too much like Big Brother, doesn't it? Basically, what everything is boiling down to with this whole current pandemic that's going on, is a way to control the citizenry. They are trying to instill and create as much fear as possible right now into the populace, not just of the states, but the populace of the world. So then governments can come in and say, okay, we know you're scared. We know you're worried. We know you're concerned. So as what we're going to do as your governments to keep you safe, we want to implement this. So basically what I'm trying to say is, in order for us to keep you safe, you're going to have to possibly give up some of your freedoms, like your right to privacy, which pretty much we already do anyway with all these electronic devices in our homes, and that is for another episode. But do you see where I'm getting at? You will not have the right to privacy anymore. You will be restricted and going somewhere. Like I said, if you don't have your current vaccinations, your mandatory vaccination, you won't be allowed to go out and get gas or get groceries until you get this vaccination. So what they're trying to do is give you safety, but at the same time, we're taking some of your rights away. We're taking some of your privacy away. We're infringing on your life. We're basically want to control your life a little bit more, and then a little bit more after that, and then a little bit more after that. And what they're using is fear, and then the term safety. It's for your own protection. It's for your own good. We only want to do what's best for you, because the government knows what's best for you, but you do not know what's best for you. We don't even want to give you that decision to make. It's going to be unquestionable. It's going to be undeniable. It's going to come down to, sooner or later, you're just going to have to do it, or you just will sit at home and be a prisoner in your own home and be shunned and shamed by the rest of the world because you are not following the protocol that everybody else is doing. well, not doing what they're told. That's basically it. They just want to tell you what to do with your life, how to do it. They basically want to run your life. You are going to be a puppet. You're going to be told what to do. You're not going to have any freedom. You're not even going to be able to start thinking for yourselves. I mean, to be honest with you, look at it. Rational thought is dead pretty much. It's dying pretty quickly. If you have just look at Twitter sometimes, like on, like say Donald Trump's feed. Look at all the people who parrot the same exact stuff. Oh, you're Putin's puppet, even though that's been proven wrong. Oh, he was in collusion with Russia. No, there was no proof. Even your guy Mueller, that all of you were, banking on, he came out and said there was no collusion with Russia at all. But nope, that doesn't matter. Russia collusion still happened. Donald Trump is a racist, but yet they cannot bring up verifiable proof that Trump did anything racist whatsoever. I mean, as soon as you start asking these people, hey, okay, give me an example of him being a racist or something, or whatever their claims may be. Where's your proof that he was, being in bed with Russia and that's how he won the presidency? If you ever notice, they really do not give you verifiable proof or evidence. Sometimes it's, oh, well, Google it. Well, that's not proof. I want you to give me the proof. And of course, they'll say, well, if you don't want to look it up, then it's like, no, it's not that I don't want to look it up. I want the proof from you. You said he's, guilty of this, so you show me the proof. Or they'll give you like a CNN video or an article, and once you read the article or listen to the video, 9 times out of 10, all of their sources will be some form of an anonymous source. So who is the anonymous source? Is it Joe Schmo, the janitor, who said, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that? Is that the source? Was it Mike Pence who told you? Did you see a document? Give me a picture of it. If you were able to see the document, you should have been able to at least gotten a picture of it. But yet none of this hard evidence, which is verifiable proof, never seems to come around, never comes to the light of day. So basically, you have to start questioning any news company. I don't care if it's Fox News or CNN or your local newspaper. If they don't give you 100% verifiable proof that you can trace down all the way down to the origin, then you have to question that. Sorry, I kind of went off the train a little bit there, off the rails a little bit with that, but let's get back to it, shall we? So yes, right now, I want every single one of you who is listening to this episode to start thinking for yourselves and to start doing your own research on COVID-19, or as I like to say, the Wuhan virus, because that's, from what I know right now, where it started. Question everything. Do your own research. If you come up with something that doesn't give you a clear resource of where that information or facts came from, then you have to doubt that. Very much so. And even if you come across something that gives you a source, you do some research on that source to find out exactly how well you can trust that source. Is that source credible? That's the kind of stuff you have to do. I remember when the news media back in the day used to do that all the time. They used to give you the source. If the source wasn't credible, then they would just, oh, well, hey, this is not a credible source. They would even say sometimes, this isn't from a credible source. When I was taking journalism class in high school, my teacher used to tell me, question everything, don't believe everything until you have verifiable proof. And verifiable proof is, yes, sometimes it could be a witness, But a lot of the times they're like, we would like to see hard evidence, like a picture, an actual document, a recording, a video. That is actual hard evidence where it's not refutable. So, dear listeners, if you come out with anything from this, what can I say? I don't want to say rant. I want to say rambling, incoherent rambling from today's episode. Please question everything. Don't let the fear get to you. Look through the fear and look for the truth. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a like and share it around. Also, if you think I'm full of it, leave it down in the comments below. And until the next episode that comes out, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay informed. Have a great day.